Hi, brothers and sisters. Hello, this is Rebecca. This is your sister in Christ, Jesus, Yeshua HaMashiach, the King of Kings, the Lord of Lords, of Father God, Abba, Almighty. I am that I am, the Alpha, the Omega, the first and the last, the beginning and the end. Hi, brothers and sisters. This is my testimony, and I want to let you know that I'm like of the last of the remnant that has been searching for the Lord. And I felt that my prayers were not being heard. I was getting to feel like giving up, but I knew not to give up. That there's more to life, and that I knew that the Word was true, and the Word is the Lord. The Word is Jesus. Brothers and sisters, I'm 36 years old. I'm a mother of 5 children. I've only been married one time. I'm still in my marriage. And I lost 4 children. They were all miscarriages and born already not breathing. There's a couple of things that I'm going to go ahead and keep to myself because that's between me and Father. I don't think that there's certain things that should be mentioned just because of my privacy. So I will go ahead and start. I grew up in a very, very crazy town where there's a lot of sin that goes on. There's sin everywhere in this world. However, I live in America, and everybody pictures America. You have that happy American dream. Well, when I was younger, I had a really great life. My mom and dad, they're married. They're still married till this day. I have a sister that's older, a brother that's older than me, and then I'm the baby of the family. So I noticed when I was smaller, I kind of didn't really fit in with my siblings. I was kind of the one that was the loner, the one that got made fun of all the time, the one that got picked on, and just, you could name it. It was me. Well, I grew up, and we moved, and I started hanging around the wrong people. Kind of started hanging around people that were claiming neighborhoods and doing things like that. People that just were not, that I was not like at all. So I started doing things and just being very secretive and keeping, things to myself. My sister had a lot of freedom. So did my brother. Me, I didn't have any freedom at all. So I would have to always use excuses and go around my parents to avoid, having a curfew, having rules. That's just the way it was. I didn't want nobody telling me what to do, where to go, who I could hang around with, who I couldn't hang around with. And, I had a lot of rules that I always had to break. Anyway, so I ended up hanging around the wrong people, made a lot of friends with the wrong crowds, started doing things that wasn't good at all, taking things from people that didn't belong to me, just being a rampant little girl, preteen, wanting to be in the spotlight all the time, earning people's, basically just trying to earn affection from other people and getting, validation that I'm included in everything. And now that I look back on it, I was just a follower. I was never a leader. And it stayed that way for a very long time, up until this point in my lifetime. And now I'm 36 years old. So, anyways, I did have a group of friends that I did start going to church with, and, it just kind of got boring. I wanted to be with the other people, the other crowd that was doing the wild things in life. And so I went ahead and I stopped talking to the people that I went to church with, and I started hanging around full time the people that were not my friends. So I ended up wanting to have a lot more attention. So by the time I turned 18, I had 2 jobs, and I figured right when I turned 18, I want to start dancing. Dancing. When other kids at that age, well, young adults, are thinking about going to college or thinking about their future, that's what I wanted to do. I wanted all the worldly stuff. So I went ahead and I got myself an interview. I got accepted. I started doing, topless dancing, and I started making a lot of money. From the city where I'm at, that's where we have nothing but casinos, drinking, gambling, prostitution, and just everything that comes in that worldly life. I was just more about getting attention and making money and having everything in life that I wanted at such a young adult age. And from there, I ended up modeling, doing things, photo shoots, stuff like that. I was really into like lowriders and hanging around gang members and stuff like that. People that just had no intentions of doing great in life. The only people they wanted to please was the people around them. So they were kind of like a family to me. Anyhow, I started making money, and then fast forward, I met the person that I ended up having 3 children with. He was very abusive. He was an alcoholic. He was doing methamphetamines, and I noticed that when I first got with him, most of the clique of who was his friends, all their girlfriends, they all had bruises on them all the time. And I thought, that's never going to be me. Oh, I would never let a man do that to me. Well, I ended up staying with him for so many years. And he was just 2 people. He had about multiple personalities. I'd say he had probably about 7 to 9 personalities. And, I just tried to stick around because I wanted to do the right thing for my child. Let her have 2 parents and, have a good life. But at the same time, I had no backbone. I could never say no. And I was a victim of domestic violence. He was very rude. He always put me down. Was physically, mentally, and verbally abusive. He just was not a good person. So, fast forward to that, when I was about 23 years old, I hurt myself on accident. I was sleeping the wrong way, and I hurt my back. I got a bunch of slip discs. I had to go to the hospital. They ended up putting me on some medications, which that was the start of the fast life to downhill. I ended up getting addicted to pharmaceutical medication, and I started taking it to kind of block out what was going on in my situation at home with the father of my child. So then I started to just be dependent on it. I needed to take it to feel normal. So as I would take the medications to make myself feel normal from getting withdrawal symptoms, it just got to the point where I started meeting all kinds of people that had what I wanted to take, and from there, another roller coaster ride. That lasted all the way up to this point in my lifetime. It was a very, very hard struggle. Very hard struggle. I had a lot of problems with my family because I was so rebellious. I ended up meeting the person that I'm married to now, and he stuck with me by my side in 2010. I met him, and from there, he ended up sticking by my side and trying to help me. By this time, I already had 3 children from the first relationship. That ended. So, there I was, a mother of 3 kids, single, just trying to make it every day, moving back and forth into my parents' home or back to where I wanted to live by myself, and being around all the wrong people. So I ended up getting pregnant, and a lot of things happened, a lot of things that I can't get into right now. So anyhow, I got married. Before I got pregnant, I got married right away with my husband, who's still with me. So I went ahead and we got a place, and everything was good. I started to detox off of a lot of medications and start going the right way. Well, that didn't last for a long time, and the enemy just started digging into me harder and harder. I started noticing that I started acting like I had a really big Jezebel spirit. I love my husband to death, but the thing is, when you have certain entities attached to you from not waiting and being sexually active with partners, people don't realize that the reason why the Lord doesn't want anybody to sleep with anybody before marriage is because of the fact that when you have those kind of relationships, sexual encounters, you are not only giving the person yourself, but you're giving that person a doorway for their demons to enter you and stay in you. And so I ended up we got pregnant with my 3-year-old son, and I was trying my hardest to, just be a really good mom, not take any medications, be sober, and just give my baby the best pregnancy and best life after he's born. I ended up going to my ultrasound a few times. Everything looked good, and then one ultrasound came up, and they told me I was going to be losing my child, to go to the hospital, and that they were going to have to do an emergency operation to close me up inside so that I wouldn't have another miscarriage. So I went ahead and did that, and I stayed in the hospital for a very long time until my son was born. He was born weighing 3 pounds, 3 ounces. He was inside of the intensive care NIC unit for about a month and a half, and then he did really well. He got released, and when he was inside of the hospital, when I had gotten back home and was healing, waiting for my son to heal himself and get the house ready for him to come home, I ended up having the most craziest thing happen to me. This was in October 2015. This is when darkness actually started on earth. This is when the Lord started calling his children in different ways. I was watching TV, and I noticed I felt a strong presence come into the room. Something that was there was chastising me. I was watching TV, and I couldn't change the channels. I couldn't turn off the TV. I couldn't change the volume. I couldn't do nothing. And every time I would get up to try to unplug the TV, I would get this weird sensation. Something telling me, if you unplug that TV, you're not going to want to know what happens. You do not want to do it. So every time I would go to unplug it, I would get that strange feeling. So I would move away from the TV. I'd lay there, and all of a sudden, I started seeing all these weird things. The channels started changing by themselves. The Lord was actually coming to me, telling me, "Daughter, it's time. You need to wake up. You need to stop taking all this medication that you had been taking. You need to stop." I overdosed so many times off of medicine. It almost killed me, probably 70 to 100, 110 times. I had so many collisions with death, and the Lord did not take me. And I am so grateful He didn't take me in my sin, because I know I would be in the pit right now, burning, crying, screaming. So anyway, I got this presence that was in the room. I was getting chastised, telling me that if I don't change my ways now, that I'm going to go to hell. I started seeing that the Lord was showing me how fake TV is. Everything on TV is fake. How they're introducing the beast system. And how everything is just a lie. And it's a stage. They're puppets. And the music that they sang sounded demonic. Every station that got changed in front of my eyes, I wasn't changing the channels. The Lord showed me end of times, brimstones, sermon, and I just remember feeling so awful to my core that if I don't change, I'm going to end up going to that pit that this pastor's talking about. I need help. I was afraid to move. I was afraid to talk. I didn't want to do nothing to get more judgment put on me. From that day, I started feeling and hearing a mourning in my spirit. My spirit was in mourning. And from that time, ever since to now, it's been that way. And I've been calling out to the Father, asking Him, please don't give up on me. Help me, help me, help me. I need to get off this medication. Finally, I asked the Lord to please just clean my heart out. Peel it back, crucify it. Take the cobwebs out, take the dark spaces inside of my body out, fill it up with light. And last year in 2017, it's been a year, I had 2 seizures. They say it's seizures medically, but it's not. It's actually a demonic attack. I got attacked. I had 2 seizures in one day, 2 demonic attacks in one day. When I got back from the hospital, from the first one, I felt better. They said I had low potassium. I was fasting that day because I was trying to get off of anti-anxiety medication. So the enemy decided to attack me again. I fell on the floor, and I woke up, and I couldn't remember my children's birthdays, their middle names. I couldn't remember nothing. How much food to feed them, what they like, where's the last time I put down a piece of paper that I needed, or where did I leave my purse at. The enemy started clogging and fogging my memory to the point where it was driving me crazy. I know the enemy was opening up my third eye, my pineal gland. I know he was doing that. The enemy just had it out for me. I noticed my husband started getting attacks too. Same attack that I was getting, he started now getting. My children, my 3-year-old now, and my 1.5-year-old, they have not started talking that good. My 3-year-old hardly had started saying words, and my 2-year-old, almost 2-year-old, he didn't start crawling till really later in life, and now he's barely learning how to walk. Well, I ended up finding out that the enemy was putting autism on my children. I'm going to go ahead and put a part 2 to this. please stay tuned, and I will let you know about how my deliverance went. This is video 1 out of 2. Thank you.